And we are here to discuss a revolutionary idea. Bridget has been working on this idea for some sort of a food cooperative. We're still figuring out exactly what it's going to look like. So we've been talking over the last couple sessions about generally what it is that she wants to create, and we're starting to get into more detail. And this is a live stream because this is a community effort. It's a community-based organization. So we want other people to get involved. So if you're in Oklahoma especially, or just really into co-ops and want to help, you are welcome to join this conversation or even help us out in different ways. But first of all, just joining the conversation. Let us know what you think. Give us ideas. Ask questions. There's, if you're on Facebook, there's comments. If you're in YouTube or Twitch, there should be a chat box so you can say hi. I've got the chat room open right here, and we can talk to you right now. So if you're on YouTube, then after the fact, then hi. If you want to join the conversation right now, you can get into my Patreon page. There's a link below, and you can message me in Patreon once you're a member. It's kind of where people go who want to be a part of the revolution in general. And so, yeah, here we are. Let's start with a little check-in. How are you doing, Bridget?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Ready to go. Just trying to, I don't know, get excited. I want to feel excited about this because it is exciting. Yeah.
I do feel very excited about it. I feel like it's been a busy last few weeks, so I'm feeling a little tired, but I am feeling like a lot of the pieces for this are starting to come together in a way that they've needed to for a while. So I feel excited about that.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So scrolling through my little workbook of questions, we had kind of an enrollment session or an exploratory session where I talked to you kind of about you and what you want to accomplish with your work, and the big vision for what you want to create, what you'd like to get out of this. And then we talked about the purpose and vision of the organization. You came up with this awesome purpose statement: connecting, nourishing, and empowering all Oklahomans through food, which I added to your project description, which everybody can see below your face right now. And then what we're going to talk about today, it says value proposition. We're also going to talk a lot about your customer segments. And you might not think about them all as customers. You might think of them as community members or something. But either way, they're people you have to convince to come get involved. So we need to know who they are and what they're looking for and how you can serve them, meet their needs. So we start out just asking, who are they? Who are your customer segments?
I think first, people who are looking to support local agriculture. Second, folks who are coming to it from a food sovereignty standpoint of wanting to have, or sustainability standpoint of wanting to be able to have these resources grown and distributed in our community, especially as there's a lot more anxiety about the consistency of the systems that we do have right now. And then also a control aspect as well. People wanting to have more control over where their food comes from and how it's produced. So also folks who are looking for a certain quality of food, food that is not grown in or conventionally grown without a lot of the chemicals that are often used in big agriculture, animals who are treated humanely. And I think that experience too of being able to actually go and see for yourself, because I think you could go to a health food store that has standards, and that is a good option that I'm glad people have, but I do think it can feel different to be able to actually go and see for yourself. And know how the food is being produced, know how the workers are being treated, know who you're buying your food from, and like knowing, I think also like having some pride in knowing that people in your own community, your own peers are producing this food, and bringing that closeness, that connection. So I think people who are approaching food from a conscious point, and then I think people who are approaching it from a health viewpoint as well. I think folks who need it to be accessible in other ways, whether that be convenience or price, will probably need to get a little bit more out of it, be incentivized in other ways of it, like of connecting to it through ways that they could learn to start growing some things themselves, and like different Skillshare things that we've talked about with the website, or wanting that experience to be able to just be more prepared for their own future, or I feel like food just connects to us in so many different ways. And so there are a lot of ways that people can come in from a lot of different perspectives. But also from, I mean, it's my understanding that as a culture in the US, we spend like a lower percentage of our income on food than a lot of other places, just as a norm. So I feel like it'll require a culture shift to a degree as well. And then there are a lot of folks who would be coming into it from a perspective of being abandoned by the current system that we have and not being able to access food in the current system that we have, especially nourishing food. And so wanting to take matters into their own hands for that reason.
Yeah, totally. So people who want more conscious options, we'd say, and then people who want to grow food, right? And then there's people who are already growing food that would be involved in this too, right? Farmers. I mean, those seems like the biggest like segments, the people who just want to eat the food, the people who want to grow food, and the people who are already growing food. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so what are these people currently paying attention to? Like, if you did marketing, you know, and trying to get people's attention, like what could you put an ad on that you think that they might see? What do you think they're excited about already?
So what are they currently paying attention to in terms of like where do they get their information?
Yeah, or what do you think their interests are? Or yeah, kind of.
Yeah. I do think that social media outreach will be a big part of it, in order for it to be like a community supported thing, that people feel like they can see grow, and be like a part of the process. I think that social media will need to be a consistent part of that. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And I also think that utilizing other like the networks that we have already, because you know, even if we're just like working with I feel like I consistently find that my network is a lot wider than I first think it is, and I think that there are a lot of people who want to see process like this. So reaching out just like through relationships, and then having the people that I reach out to people that they have relationships with. So community conversation, word of mouth, and then I mean I am less familiar with like ways that we could reach out like within this current structure of like, I mean, like extension services, political organizations that represent farmers, and even just, you know, trying to like put out some press releases and things, trying to get some news coverage.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking, yeah, like connecting with other like organizations, like just the state Department of Ag, yeah, extension services, any organizations. Unfortunately, you know, in-person events aren't happening right now, but there's typically, you know, some kind of in-person. I mean, there's the state fair, you know, like there's places where farmers do go. And, you know, some farmers really aren't on the internet much. They tend to be a little less connected in that way. So, yeah, you might have
definitely, yeah, needing to go to some yeah, sorry, I was thinking more of customers, but for farmers, definitely I think that there has to be an in-person component. I think not it's not unfounded, but I've found that I feel like farmers can be sometimes slow to trust people, and I think that that's understandable, given a lot of the predatory practices like within the industry, and then also historically, especially like when it comes to Black and Indigenous farmers. So I think that there really does have to be an in-person an in-person component, and not just one time either, but being able to consistently build up a relationship. And yeah, I feel like farmers markets
oh yeah, farmers markets.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then any places that like are currently selling local food now, like Urban Agrarian or the Conscious Community Co-op. Even I feel like I see a lot of I know that the Paseo Farmers Market is working towards establishing a brick and mortar co-op. And like I feel like being able to connect with other folks who are even just in like brainstorming phases, because like a lot of people who are involved in that project were also at the Growing Food Co-ops Together meetings that Uprooted and Rising Indian Territory hosted. Like it was back in like November, December, January, and February. And so I feel like it also I think it's beautiful to see that like when one part of a network comes upon some information, they often like really want to share. And so I'm excited to just talk to folks within the network more too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. The Paseo Farmers Market is going for brick and mortar, because I think they could do it specifically because they could do a partnership with artists and farmers to have art goods sold, arts and crafts sold, as well as food. That way, as like the seasons come in and out where there's more and less food, you know, if there's if it's a season where there's not a lot of food, then you can have all these, you know, art and craft items. Yeah, because the Paseo, for those of you who don't know, is the art district up in Oklahoma City. So there's a bunch of like little shops up there that have arts and crafts kind of stuff right along that street, right where it's at. So yeah, that seems like doable. In fact, one of the existing places might even be into hosting that or something. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we got a good list there of places you can go to get people's attention or avenues you can use. Okay, so for these people, what are the pains that you're trying to alleviate?
I think honestly, first connection and information, because I think that right now it is pretty difficult. It's possible, but it's difficult. It's not a super accessible process for folks to buy a lot of local food. And like I think a lot of people know that there are markets, but it might be at a time where, like, farmers markets might be at a time that they aren't able to attend, especially if they work the weekends. People, go shopping at a certain time that, like, a lot of people are not on like a regular 9 to 5 schedule anymore. And so being able to plan based on like just all of the information of like if you could get like order food directly from a farmer and set up a time to pick it up, or get it delivered, or like know that you're going to pick up a particular item at a farmer's market, and like being able to plan around that. And then also, like, if you're looking to buy a particular item locally and it's not at like the one place that exists, how can you like look around and like know that you're able to see all of your options also? So I think information, and I think that relates to access, trying to figure out some other ways that we could make it accessible, looking at other CSA networks. A lot of places have like a tiered system, where people who have more put in more purposefully, and people who have less that can then put in less, but all can be able to access the food, for like a CSA share or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, right when you started, I had an idea. We didn't mention in the first that I think the Oklahoma Food Co-op still has like a list or something. Is there still some communication going on around that? Do you know?
I could ask. I had been just trying to get the information off the website, and then it did go down, or at least last time I checked, I wasn't able to access it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought somebody was still sending out some newsletters or something last I knew, but I hadn't seen anything in a while.
Yeah, and I could follow up and see, and like talk to folks within the network. But I have like a pretty big list that I've been cultivating, and would like to be able to expand from that. And a lot of the folks were on the farmers market list as well.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I put lack of connection and information and access and options to get local food.
And to sell local food.
Okay.
I feel like it's both an issue of people not knowing like where they can go to buy items, and people not knowing the best way to be able to sell their food, and having to kind of take a gamble a lot of the time by going to farmers markets. And even like I've bought some food from farmers who I just connected with on social media, but then like I went to a particular farmers market because they were at that farmers market and I had already like pre-bought some items. So I didn't have a lot of time to like browse the market, but since I knew I had purchased an item before and I knew that was like the thing I wanted to go get, then I went to that farmer's market. And so I think it could also be a way for farmers to reach more customers as well.
Cool. Okay. So what are some of the desires that you're trying to fulfill? More like wants than needs, maybe.
Um, I mean, I want everyone to be able to access nourishing, accessible food. And I think that one of the best ways that we can do that is building up a system in our own area, as opposed to having to like try to manage all of the factors on a much bigger, more complicated system that we have less control over. Um, I want also for people to be able to grow food, and have the ability to be able to support themselves on that, and move to a place where we have a more flourishing local food economy where most farmers don't have to work a second job to make ends meet. Because a lot of the farmers I meet are just like harvesting food after their 9 to 5 job and on the weekends, and aren't able to support themselves on just farming. And then they're also not able to like utilize all of the farmland that they have because they can't, like, they're barely making ends meet, so they can't pay for like additional help, and they don't have the like hours in their day to be able to farm everything. So figuring out a way to make that whole process more sustainable, and moving to a place where we can all have more control over our resources and options, through working together.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Next question. How do you want your customers to feel?
I want them to feel supported. I want them to feel connected. I want them to feel hopeful, and passionate about what we're trying to do, and connected to the like wins and losses of like what we do also, because it's going to be something that's going to take a lot of people to be able to work.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, if you could promise something to your customers that if they get involved, they're going to get at least this one thing out of it, what would that be?
Community. You'll get community. That is something I can promise. And information. Past that, I don't feel confident about making promises just yet.
Okay. Yep. Great. That's a good one. Okay, so if you're definitely promising that you'll get them connected into a community, they'll feel like they're part of something, or at least, they'll have some people to talk to, have some experiences and opportunities to make new friends and all that.
And information.
Yeah, and get information, sure. Yeah, information. Okay. But yeah, how can you kind of embody that in your, and I say branding here, but I really mean kind of like in the feel and texture of like everything you do. Like how can you embody that with this organization?
I think continuing to have community input, and community feedback and accountability. I don't think that we'd be able to do that if we like got money from people up front and then just were like super secretive about what was happening internally, both like financially and also like, big decisions about the direction that the business would go. I think that there would need to be some transparency and a lot of room for people to offer feedback about what their experience has been like, so that we can tailor what we're doing, knowing the effects that it will have and that it has had as it's developing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I would think kind of with your branding, like kind of the way you set up your website and stuff can be just very oriented around transparency and, you know, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, you know, not kind of putting up some splash page that's just pretty, but really letting people peek in and see, like immediately see the list of farmers, or, you know, immediately see a list of the things that you're doing so that they can tell right away, you know, how active you are, how many people are involved. Yeah, it's not kind of a black box of who knows what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, like with the branding, then even more, you could do lots of pictures of people together, you know?
And I think that's also where social media can be a really valuable tool to, like, you know, show people what the process looks like as you go in like a place where they're going to be looking anyway. Like just as we grow and like celebrating our wins with the people who have supported them.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, and I think also like doing like a blog post or newsletter regularly, telling stories. We were talking about that last time. Like we want to tell lots of stories and have lots of like pictures so people just feel really connected. Cool. All right. So what products are you planning to sell in the next year?
So for the next year, I don't think that the website would be a place where we are actually selling. It would be just a way to organize information and have that financed through a process of like grants or dues or both, or like, you know, our budget would be sort of a separate thing. We could like take donations for the organization of the and like hope that it would grow more to be able to support like the second phase of the distribution service and so on and so forth. But actually like taking money and things for like the food that is being sold, I don't see that happening, at least at first. Just connecting people to like, you know, Viking Creek Creamery's website where they buy the food directly from them.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and we can look at the word products really broadly to include services and also like products that you don't pay for, like information, you know. So in a way, the website itself is a product. You're putting it out there, you're trying to get people to engage with it, whether that's just looking at it or giving you donations or signing up to be a part of it in some way. Yeah, so the website, I guess, would be the one thing that you'd start on this year, right? Okay, cool. Cool. And so just checking that this does alleviate the pains and meet the desires. You know, we want to make sure that you're giving them that information that they're lacking, and connecting them with places to get local food or places to sell food. So you can also have the resources for farmers there to be like, oh, hey, did you know that there's this website where you can set up direct, you know, farm to consumer sales, and you know, you can do things that way. And then meet the desires, yeah, connect them with the nourishing food and resources and support to grow food. So yeah, just building all of those lists of information. And I think we said something last time we were talking about it, and I said, or maybe this was with another client, I don't remember, but you know, I think there's a lot of websites out there that just are information dumps that have just lists and lists and lists.
Yeah. And so like really thinking of a way to like organize the information and boil it down to like what people are looking for it, and like making it available in an accessible way.
Holly says hi. Hi, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
Yay. Um, cool. So yeah, Holly, let us know if you have any ideas here. So, okay, what were we saying? Oh yeah, ways to like organize the information and step people through getting it, I think, is what I was thinking. Like, um, yeah, I don't know if that's kind of like creating an information tree where instead of just like kind of dumping them with a big long list, it's like, are you interested in this? Yes or no? Well, here's a little bit of information. Do you want more information about this, or would you rather learn about this thing? So you're not overwhelming people with like too much information at first.
Mm-hmm.
Or there could be like little like kind of lessons, like learn about your local food system, and then like it could just, step them through, 15 to 20 minutes worth of little blurbs and articles and links, kind of giving them an overview. I like that model better than there's already so many sites out there that just have so many lists, and I don't know, it's just hard to.
Yeah. For the one component that I think would be a little bit more interactive that I'm working on now is an interactive map, an interactive food map, which I think could be, and like I feel like there could be some fun ways that we could play with it as well, and like maybe even like make room for some ideas to grow about like I am here, this farmer's here, this farmer's here, and like ways to sign up for like a breakout conversation, or like something that happens regularly with like the a forum or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Give people information and connect them with ways to like, discuss further or contribute or something.
Yeah, or post a suggestion and like it could go out for other people to like second or something like that.
Right, yeah, like engaging with the information. Yeah, or even like having it in an app where you can like upvote and downvote things or something, so it's not just lists.
And I feel like having like an app component, especially for conversation, like really for like if so say someone's looking at the website and is like, I wish that this thing existed, but I don't see it here yet. And then that could be like, would go as like a forum topic. And then that would go out to other people who utilize the website. And then we could set up a community conversation about that.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to give another shout out to Holly. She says, hey, I'm excited for you. Integrating resources, streamlined step by steps. People need this so much. Yay. Yeah, and Holly's here in Norman, so.
Hi, Holly.
Yay, Normanite. Forum style, yeah. She says forum style. So yeah, having forums. Yeah, I also like, rather than just kind of open forums where people can discuss anything, having kind of topical forums where you're really trying to like work together to problem solve things. So like, like how are we going to create, a distribution system, and like creating a forum for that, and so people get engaged around that topic. So yeah, you could have topics for the different aspects of the food system that you're trying to design for, and people can make suggestions and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and start working together. That would be good. Yeah. It's just, one of the frustrating things is like getting people to stay connected and stay engaged in those kinds of things, because like having another website that you have to log into and check up on is sometimes hard. So if you could find something where it's either like an app on people's phones, or it's like connected with emails, so you like get emails and you can like reply directly in email and it goes, but you have to have a lot of control about like which threads you're following, so you don't end up following getting a bunch of emails you don't want. But yeah, like keeping people connected.
Yeah, or even like if it's something that like I'd like to see both an open forum option where people can just like connect with each other, and also where they can like post a suggestion and then like maybe just like second it or vote or something, and then the Oklahoma Community Food Network would then like host a community conversation about it. And so like the people who like made the initial suggestion would be part of the process of creating it, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay. And it fulfills your promise too, because this is creating community. So, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, one last thing. We want to create an elevator pitch. So how do you want to get people involved? I mean, like right now, like you want to build this website. So like if you met somebody and they're like, "Hey Bridget, what have you been up to?" Like what would you say to them that might end the conversation with them like actually signing up to get involved?
I think I'm working on a website that would organize information about local food, so producers could know where to sell and consumers could know where to buy, and we can support each other on community food solutions.
Mm-hmm. I got all of that. Go 90 words a minute. Okay. What would you say after that? That might like be like inviting them.
Is that something you would want more information about? Is that something that you would utilize? What do you think you might want out of a website like that? Is that something that you would want to support? I feel like, I mean, like now I've just been talking to people about it like on a regular basis, and it's like it has to be a very short pitch because it's like as I'm checking people out at the grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
or as I'm like, you know, just talking to them between like stocking items. And so people will just like give me their information for me to follow up and send them more info. I'm trying to think of like what an ask would be at this point, because are you wanting it for like this exact place that I am in the process, or like for once it's up and running and we want to get them plugged in to volunteer or something like that?
I think right now in the process would be the most useful.
Yeah.
So like what could you specifically say that would like the next thing would be them handing you their email address or whatever you would need to get them involved?
I feel like it depends on why they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause like a lot of times that will make people excited, and then they'll be like, oh, I do, like, I'm working with a person who is like teaching me how to make the interactive map right now,
Mm-hmm.
because that is something that I know that they do through a conversation that I had with them at Natural Grocers.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then like, you know, set up a follow-up call, talk about how we could maybe work together.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the times the ask is like, could I like follow up with you and like
Mm-hmm.
do a phone call, do a like video call, and try to figure out some ways that we can work together. Or if there's like a particular event coming up, like we have the History of Black Farmers in Oklahoma panel tomorrow that Uprooted and Rising Indian Territory is putting on, and I've invited a lot of folks to that personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it just is it's been very situational. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of like,
Yeah, no, I mean just like
general pitch.
yeah, of course you can craft it for each person, but yeah, some version of would you like to get involved, and then
Mhm.
oh, I would love to because blah 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 blah, you know, and then you talk to them a little more. Could I follow up with you and do a phone call or video call? Give me your phone number. Great. Yeah. Yeah. You just want to make sure you get their information. Yeah. You just don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I'm doing a thing tomorrow if you can make it, and just like let them walk off. You want to make sure you get their information so you can follow up with them. Yeah. So that's that. All right. Well, we got through all of the questions for this section on value proposition.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And we still have like 20 minutes left, so we could even go on to the next section if you want.
Does Holly have anything she wants to know about?
Holly or anybody else, do you have any questions or ideas that you'd like to contribute? And I think there's a little bit of a delay, so we might have to wait a few seconds to see if they do. But while we wait, I will go ahead and pull up the questions for the next section because I need to copy and paste them in here anyway.
Okay.
Might as well do it now. My little workbook. This is my workbook, everybody. Peeking at it. Yeah. Next we'll talk about marketing. Market stuff. Don't see anything. Yeah, I mean, I'm also tempted to just kind of talk about it in general a little bit more, because like I have ideas, and I have connected ideas. I have like tangential ideas. So like maybe we should just kind of talk about, you know, various things. I can throw some things out. So yeah, like it seems like what you're wanting to do, and maybe what would be the best focus of what you're wanting to do, would be creating that that information and community network, and then within that there would be various different groups that would come together to like do farming together, or create a farmer's market, or create a grocery store, you know. But those would be kind of maybe separate entities within your network. And so, yeah, I'm wondering if there are any like of those entities that you definitely want to be working on now, or if you just want to set up the overall network and kind of let that happen.
I feel like it depends on the project. So I think that like the work that I do with Uproot and Rising Indian Territory is not like explicitly work for this business. It's like its own organization that I'm like just one member of. But we have like our own like ways that we've been doing, like the Growing Food Crops Together meetings. That was something that I think just made space for a lot of the conversations. It formed a lot of the connections. And I feel like now I'm connecting with a lot of those same folks for a mutual aid plan that we're putting together for the spring. And so I feel like a lot of the work that I do with Uprooted and Rising kind of helps move along the connection aspect. I think in terms of like actually getting to a place where I'm ready to incorporate with this, it's a matter of getting the information ready, the website ready. And then I think that there is a pretty wide network of people who I hope would be able to at least like give me some really solid feedback on it. And then do some like trial runs or, you know, things like that, or just like, you know, get it up and start to see what traffic is like.
Yeah. Well, I think that a really well organized and built website could be a really good tool for some of the kind of like co-ops that could grow out of this. You know, for example, like a farming cooperative. So like with my other client, Isaiah, we've been talking through starting kind of a little growing co-op that would start with growing mushrooms and microgreens like indoors, and then expand out into outdoor gardens. And so like if I or somebody else wanted to start that, then having kind of this like website to, you know, post about it on and connect with other people and find information about what other people are doing, you know, just that would be very useful if the website is, you know, really well organized, has a good forum software on it, you know, all of that. And was focused on Oklahoma. And so I think that's something that's kind of lacking right now. And you're right, is that, you know, you can have, you know, this national website, but then you're talking to people in California and it's like, yeah, well, you can't help me in California farming. Like it's too far. So like we want to have our own little local network because it's about local food.
Yeah. And being able to, like both in physical proximity and also in like experience and soil health and, you know, a lot of different factors. Like this can be a really hard place to grow, but it is a place where a lot of people have been able to grow. And so figuring out a way to share that information with one another also.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what platform you're going to use for the website?
I'm not sure. I feel like my work with Dr. Lowry, who's helping me with the map, he'll be providing some training and coding as well. I've used Wix before, which I felt like was very user-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably going to be using Squarespace for another organization. So I have to kind of like look around and see based on like prices and accessibility and what I want to do, what kind of platform I'd be using.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think the like discussion forum aspect is a big piece to look at, and then how mobile accessible it is.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we could maybe have, because I know that like now it's pretty easy to add like a Facebook widget or like an Instagram widget. I'm wondering if there's a Discord widget. Because a lot of people use Discord as a forum for different community organizations. And it has an app or even Slack or something like that as just a way to, that it would just like direct, like, sign up to join the Slack. And then you could have like a different themed channel. But the website would be like the entry point to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't used Slack a whole lot. I know it has quite a bit of functionality. I don't know if it has like upvoting and downvoting things.
It has, you can do like reactions. And then you can just use like whatever emojis you have on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a poll component.
I just find that things get lost in threads,
Mm-hmm.
like the important information.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gets buried, because they're just looking at it chronologically. And like if you're really trying to have a conversation where you're trying to come to a conclusion, an outcome, if you can upvote and downvote like posts with ideas, kind of like they do on Reddit,
Mm-hmm.
then
So
yeah.
I'll say as far as like the upvoting, I was really just picturing that for like, should we have a community conversation about this? And then like actual decision would need to happen in like a video chat or like other,
Sure.
until we're able to like gather in person. Like I think that there needs to be more engagement in real time in order to make important like decisions about things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I agree with that, and I would also argue the opposite. Like people are so busy, it's hard to get people together at the same time, and if somebody can't make it to a meeting, then they feel
Yeah.
like they can't give the input. Whereas like, and I'm not saying the final decision has to be made that way, but at least like
Yeah.
people can contribute to the
Yeah. Sure.
conversation
Yeah.
and feel
So I
like
feel like it's helpful to have both though. Yeah.
yeah.
Because I wouldn't want like a really big decision to happen in like a thread that I was in while I like in the few hours I wasn't able to look at it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's software that's specifically made for decision making as well, where it's like, okay, type out your proposal in this format, and then it like submits it, and everybody has to vote, and it doesn't pass until everybody votes or a percentage of people vote or something. I mean, there's software for that specifically, and I'm not saying you have to make the final decisions that way. I think
But that could definitely help.
I think the old way of doing forums that so many organizations are using, like to me, I get really frustrated or bored with it because I have to read through so much of just people just going back and forth to like figure out like what's even going on, or like what's the best idea that somebody's put forth so far. Whereas like something that's like built to like filter information, it's like kind of like Quora,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that like, you know, you get the best answer
Yeah.
or the best suggestion, or just the most talked about topics come up to the
Yeah.
top.
I guess yeah, I mean, I think that would be a really useful tool to have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like for the first like bit that the website was available, I would see um, the forum being a way to like exchange ideas, and then um, the Oklahoma Community Food Network being a place that could like house a lot of those conversations in a way that like both connects people who wouldn't be connected before, and then also amplifies them and makes that information accessible to people. So I feel like that could look like just creative, like brainstorm kind of conversations in the like forum aspect,
Mm-hmm.
and then having like a regular time that we do like our community discussion monthly or something like that, so
Mm-hmm.
people can like plan to be available at that time and then vote on like the topic for the month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And promote the poll on our social media and in the forum and on our website. If we have an email lister, through that too, printing it in like our newsletter. And then having it also like, I think, especially with the pandemic, I'm seeing that I'm able to attend a lot of events that I wouldn't be able to attend because like everything is like video now, so people just record them, so I can like go back and watch them later.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that is something that could make it accessible like post the event as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I wish I had more time on my hands. I'm like trying to finish my master's degree in the next month, or I, you know, put a good few hours into researching platforms right now. But yeah, yeah, I'll look into it a little bit. Yeah, and keep me updated on what you see. But there's a lot available, and I bet there's something really cool out there
Okay.
if we
Yeah.
looked, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I like the direction you were going with, like a Slack or something, like
Mm-hmm.
using something pre-built that has a lot of
Mm-hmm.
functionality rather than using something that's
Yeah.
oversimplified or you have to
Yeah.
build yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. We have about 5 minutes left. Do you have any other ideas or topics you'd like to talk about?
Hmm. Um, I feel like I would like some. I've been struggling to think through ways to financially support the website.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm not very familiar with the different options of like
Okay.
how people support their websites.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like through ads or clicks or like, you know, that component, I feel like I've been so focused on just like gathering all of the information and wanting to just organize it. And the information on that component, I'm like, I feel like I would like some more support on, if that is something you could advise on.
Sure, sure. Well, hopefully you can find an option that's not too expensive or hard to set up, so that it's really not that big of an investment to get it set up. It seems like the bigger investment would be getting people to use it, would be the marketing, which would be an ongoing, you know, expense, you know, whether you think about that in terms of a money expense or a time expense. If you're just like posting like crazy on social media, that does get kind of exhausting after a while and takes a lot of attention and time. So yeah, to support all of that, you could do some sort of like a crowdfunding thing. So you could do either a one-time, you know, crowdfunding campaign, like, you know, Kickstarter type thing, and try to raise however much money you think it's going to take you to run the website for the next couple years, you know. Or you could do like a Patreon kind of, you know, donation, ongoing donation sort of thing, which you could use your own website, you know, to host that, you know, payment processing and whatnot. And then you could do like kind of a membership thing, which would work pretty much the same way. You would just call it a membership instead of a recurring donation. In which case there'd be a little bit more of maybe a promise to give them something like a newsletter, or access. And then, you know, there's the question of, are you charging everybody to be a member or asking donations for everybody, or are you targeting just the producers, like the farmers saying, hey, I'm going to drive traffic to this website. Would you like to be listed on this website, or would you like to sponsor this website and have your farm featured on this website, you know, and get them to pay something to have an ad about their farm, you know, on the page. But then you're promising them that you're going to drive a lot of traffic to it. Yeah. Get people to see that.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on like what you're willing to promise as far as what people are willing to pay.
Yeah. It is tricky because I feel like I want it to be accessible. So I think what I'm most inclined to do right now is like a Patreon. But I'm also trying to think through, like, ideally when we launch or shortly after we launch, I would really love to eventually have the money for 3 paid positions. One for a website manager, one for an outreach coordinator, and one for a development director. Or your grassroots fundraising director, or however it might look. And I feel like I am trying to think of, like, I think I would need to spend a good amount of time on, like, a budget to think through how much that would cost, how much it would cost to pay those people a living wage also, if it, you know, to, like, keep costs down, making it, you know, just part-time for the first few years, but, like, still, you know, worth it with, like, at least like 15 an hour or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think one other thing is, like, you know, how good is your value proposition? That's another way to think about it. I hadn't thought about that. So you can think of maybe another even customer segment as being like other organizations like Extension Services and the Kerr Center for Sustainable Agriculture, because they would be involved in some way, or they could be involved in some way. And if you like went to the Kerr Center for Sustainable Agriculture and was like, hey, I'm building this website, here's the platform I'm using that's really freaking awesome, and you can do all of these things, and I want to use it to organize our local food system, would you be willing to help with that? And like, they, you know, they don't have a ton of money, but they have some money, or they could help you get a grant because they have a 501c3. You know, they could like sponsor this project and maybe help a little bit. And, you know, they have connections then with like Department of Ag and other people, and you might be able to pull in some grant money and whatnot through working with other organizations. So you could kind of look at your value proposition as well towards those other organizations of like, what are you bringing to the table to help the whole system, to help in the ways that they want to see things improved.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I know the Oklahoma Department of Fish and Forestry, Farming, they have been working on like a spreadsheet to organize some local food. And I feel like it could potentially be like they could be a potential partner. as
Right,
well.
right. I mean, if you just pitched it to them as, hey, you came up with a spreadsheet, who's going to use it like buried on your website? Let's put it on this really cool website where I'm going to get a bunch of people involved and they're going to be seeing it and using it all the time. They might just throw you a little bit of money, you know, just like, here. Yeah, great. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's what I would like to do. I just need to, like, you know, actually get the, like, proposal and stuff together. But, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I'm going to add that to the notes real quick here, and we're about done. But customer segments, okay, let me put some space here. The other customer segment would be other local or just other organizations that share similar goals, you know. Yeah. Yeah, to like partner with in different ways. Cool. Okay. Cool. Well, we are at the end of time. This is great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting somewhere. And next time we'll talk about market and delivery. So, you know, who is in your market? How are you going to reach them? So we're talking about your marketing plan kind of stuff. And then like, how will you then deliver it to them? And how does that all fit together? That's what we'll be talking about. So, all right. Till next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacki.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody watching. See you next time. Bye.